Well, hello, English 2 students. It's Friday, and we're still not in school. So the plan now is I am about to do a dramatic reading of the final 7 pages of the Crucible, which we would have probably finished today in class. And your AMI assignment is essentially do the annotations that are due. So the annotations that are due on Classroom, that's what you need to get done and submit it. Some of you have already done them. More power to you. Great. Some of you have not. It's perfectly fine. Get them done tonight after uh, participating in this read through. If you did your annotations, please listen in on the read through because whenever we read, multiple readings will sometimes unlock things that we didn't notice the first time through, especially when we're reading something to be studied. The more that you read it, the more that you'll gain knowledge from it. All right. So without further ado, here is, as promised, my dramatic reading of The Crucible. So 2 days ago, not yesterday, but 2 days ago, I had you read these 4 pages and summarize them. And so we're going to be picking up on page 22 of the PDF, but page 1255 of the text, if this was a book in your textbook. So we're going to be picking up with Reverend Hale finally talking. So he appeared loaded down with a dozen heavy books. Pray you, someone take these. Paris, delighted. Mr. Hale, oh, it's good to see you again, taking some of the books. My, they are heavy. Hale, setting down his books. They must be. They are weighted with authority. Paris, a little scared. Well, you do come prepared. We shall need hard study if it comes to tracking down the old boy. He notices Rebecca Nurse. You cannot be Rebecca Nurse. I am, sir. How do you know me? It's strange how I knew you, but I suppose you look as such a good soul should. We have all heard of your great charities in Beverly. Do you know this gentleman, Mr. Thomas Putman, and his wife, Anne? Putman! I had not expected such distinguished company, sir. Putman pleased. It does seem to help us today, Mr. Hell. We look to you to come to our house and save our child. Your child ills too? Her soul, it seems to flown away. She sleeps and yet she walks. She cannot eat. Cannot eat. Hell thinks on it. Then to Proctor and Giles Corey. Do you men have afflicted children? No, no, these are farmers. John Proctor. He don't believe in witches. Proctor to Hell. I never spoke on witches one way or the other. Will you come, Giles? No, no, John. I think not. I have a few queer questions of my own to ask this fella. I've heard you be a sensible man, Mr. Hell. I hope you leave some of it in Salem. Proctor goes to Hale and stands embarrassed for an instant. Uh, Paris, quickly. Will you look at my daughter, sir? He leads Hale to the bed. She tried to leap out of the window. She was discovered this morning on the high road, waving her arms as though she would fly. Hale, narrowing his eyes, tries to fly. Putman cannot bear to hear this is Mr. Putman. She cannot bear to hear the Lord's name, Mr. Hell. That's sure a sign of witchcraft afloat. Hell holds up his hands. No, no. Let me instruct you. We cannot look to superstition in this. The devil is precise. The marks of his presence are definite as stone. I must tell you all that I shall not proceed unless you are prepared to believe me if I should find no bruise of hell upon her. It's agreed, sir. It's agreed. We'll abide by your judgment. Good then. He goes to the bed and looks down at Betty. Paris. Now, sir, what were your first warning of this strangeness? Why, sir, I discovered her, indicating Abigail, and my niece, and 10 or 12 of the other girls dancing in the forest last night. You permit dancing? No, no, it were in secret. Mrs. Putman, unable to wait. Mr. Paris's slave has knowledge of conjuring, sir. Paris to Mrs. Putman. We cannot be sure of that, Goody Anne. Mrs. Putman, frightened but very softly. I know it, sir. I sent my child. She should learn from Tituba, who murdered her sisters. Rebecca, horrified. Goody Anne, you sent your a child to conjure up the dead? Let God blame me, not you, Rebecca. I will not have you judge me for any more. To hell. Is it natural work to lose 7 children before they live a day? Shh. Rebecca, with great pain, turns her face away, then a pause. 7 dead in childbirth? Mrs. Putnam softly. I. Her voice breaks. She looks up at him, silent. Hell is impressed. Paris looks at him. He goes to his books, opens one, turns pages, and reads. All wait avidly. Paris. What book is that? What's in there, sir? Hell, with a tasty love of intellectual pursuit. Here is all the invisible world, caught and defined and calculated. In these books, the devil stands stripped of all of his brute disguises. Here are all of your familiar spirits, your incubi and succubi, your witches that go by land, by air, and by sea, your wizards of the night and of day. Have no fear now, we shall find him out if he has come among us. And I mean to crush him utterly if he has shown his face. He starts to the bed. Will it hurt the child, sir? I cannot tell. If she is truly in the devil's grip, we may have to rip and tear to get her free. I think I'll go then. I'm too old for this. She rises. Paris, striving for conviction. Why, Rebecca, we may open up the boil of all of our troubles today. Let's hope for that. I will go to God for you, sir. Paris, with trepidation and resentment. I hope you do not mean to go to Satan here. Slight pause. I wish I knew. She goes out. They feel resentful of her note of moral superiority. Come, Mr. Hell. Come, Mr. Hell. Come, let's get on. Sit you here. Mr. Hale, I've always wanted to ask a learned man, what signifies the reading of strange books? What books? I cannot tell. She hides them. Who does this? Martha, my wife. I've waked in the night many times and found her in the corner reading a book. And now, what do you make of that? Why, that's not necessarily. It discomforts me. Last night, mark this, I tried and tried, could not say my prayers. And then she closed the book and walks out of the house. And suddenly, mark this, I could pray again. So now we're going to enter some exposition. So one of the things that you can note in that little exchange for those first 2 pages is kind of the weight that Hale brings into the scene. He is an unknown force, and he is the first opportunity we see of an actual foil arise in this particular play. This is kind of the beginning of that rising action. So we've had exposition, and this is really the true beginning of the rising action that will build us up to the climax. So here's another note of exposition where we just kind of get a background story on Giles, because we've only heard a couple things here or there from him, but we haven't actually learned who he is. We just know he's a little Sue happy. So let's see what let's learn Giles Corey's background. Oh, Giles must be spoken for, if only because his fate was to be so remarkable and so different from that of the others. He was in his early 80s at the time and was the most comical hero in the history. No man has ever been blamed for so much. If a cow was missed, the first thought was to look for her around Corey's house. A fire blazing up in the night brought suspicion of arson to his door. He didn't give a hoot for public opinion. Only in his last years, after he had married Martha, did he bother much with the church. That he stopped his prayer was very probable. But he forgot to say that he'd only recently learned any prayers, and it didn't take much for him to stumble over them. He was a crack and a nuisance, but withal a deeply innocent and brave man. In court once, he was asked if it were true that he had been frightened by a strange behavior of a hog, and had then said to be then and then said he knew it to be the devil in animal shape. What frightened you? He asked. He'd forgotten everything but the word frightened, and instantly replied, "I don't know that I ever spoke that word in my life." So he's just kind of a dumb guy. He's a dumb guy, but he does go out in a pretty amazing fashion. So let's return back to Center. They are over Betty, trying to figure out what's wrong with her. The stoppage of prayer. That is strange. I'll speak further on that with you. I'm not saying she touched the devil now, but I'd admire to know what the book she reads and why she hides them. She'll not answer me, you see. We'll discuss it. Now, mark me, if the devil is in her, you will witness some frightful wonders in this room. So please to keep your wits about you. Mr. Putman, stand close in case she flies. Now, Betty, dear, will you sit up? Putman comes in closer, ready-handed. Hell sits Betty up, but she hangs limp in his hands. He observes her carefully. The others watch breathlessly. Can you hear me? I am John Hell, minister of Beverly. I've come to help you, dear. Do you remember my two little girls in Beverly? She does not stir in his hands. Paris, in a fright. How can it be the devil? Why would he choose my house to strike? We have all manner of litigious people in the village. What victory would the devil have to win a soul that's already bad? It is the best the devil wants, and who better than the minister? That's deep, Mr. Paris. Deep. Deep. Betty, answer Mr. Hell. Betty, does someone afflict you, child? It not be a woman, mind you, or a man. Perhaps some bird, invisible to the others, comes to you. Perhaps a pig, a mouse, or any beast at all. Is there some figure bids you to fly? The child remains limp in his hands. In silence, he lays her back on the pillow. Now, holding out his hands towards her, he intones, "In nomine Dame sabino seu fligi etir na ad infernos." She does not stir. He turns to Abigail, his eyes narrowing. Abigail, what sort of dancing were you doing with her in the forest? Why, common dancing is all. I think I ought to say that I saw a kettle in the grass where they were dancing. That were only soup. What sort of soup were in this kettle, Abigail? Why, it were beans and lentils, I think. And Mr. Paris, you did not notice, did you, any living thing in the kettle? A mouse, perhaps, a spider, a frog? I do believe there was some movement in the soup. That jumped in. We never put it in. What jumped in? Why, a very little frog jumped. A frog, Abby? Hale, grasping Abigail. Abigail, if it were your cousin dying, did you call the devil last night? I never called him. Tituba, Tituba. Paris blanched. She called the devil? I should like to speak with Tituba. Goody Ann, will you bring her up? Mrs. Putman exits. How did she call him? I know not. She spoke Barbados. Did you feel any strangeness when she called him? A sudden cold wind, perhaps? A trembling below the ground? I didn't see no devil. shaking Betty. Betty, wake up! Betty! Betty! Hell, you cannot evade me, Abigail. Did your cousin drink any of the brew in that kettle? She never drank it. Did you drink it? No, sir. Did Tituba ask you to drink it? She tried, but I refused. Why are you concealing? Have you sold yourself to Lucifer? I never sold myself. I am a good girl. I am a proper girl. Mrs. Putman enters with Tituba, and instantly Abigail points to Tituba. So, do you notice so I mentioned earlier in the exposition of those 4 pages where we kind of talked about how Salem was kind of like this powder keg, and was just it was just waiting for a spark to happen before everything blows up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached that spark. Here's the spark where everything has now exploded. She made me do it. She made Betty do it. Tituba, shocked and angry. Abby, she made me drink blood. Blood? My baby's blood? No, chicken blood. I give her chicken. I give she chicken blood. Woman, have you enlisted these children for the devil? No, sir. I don't truck with no devil. Why can she not wake? Are you silencing this child? I love me, Betty. Have you sent your spirit out upon this child? Have you not? Are you gathering souls for the devil? She sends her spirit on me in church. She makes me laugh at prayer. She have often laughed at prayer. She comes to me every night to go and drink blood. You beg me to conjure. She begged me to make charm. Don't lie. She turns to Reverend Hell. She come to me while I sleep. She's always making me dream corruptions. Why say that, Abby? Sometimes I wake and find myself standing in an open doorway, and not a stench on my body. I always hear her laughing in my sleep. I hear her singing her Barbados songs and tempting me with, Mr. Reverend, I never. Tituba, I want you to wake this child. I have no power on this child, sir. You most certainly do, and you will free her from it now. When did you compact with the devil? I don't compact with no devil. You will confess yourself, or I will take you out and whip you to death, Tituba. So, if we were looking at this through lenses, through different sociological lens, you could definitely look at through a racial lens and see like the harshness of slavery, and you could also look at through a feminist lens because everybody's automatically blaming her because A, she's the black one, and B, she's a woman. Notice how they're really going to start heaping the blame on Abigail until she shifted the blame. So you could look at it through a sexist lens. You could look at it through a racist lens. You could also look at it through an ageist lens because keep in mind, Abigail's a teenager, so we're going to blame the young first too. So, all right, let's return. Putman. This woman will be hanged. She must be taken and hanged. Tituba, terrified, falls to her knees. No, don't hang Tituba. I tell him I don't desire to work for him, sir. The devil? Then you saw him. Tituba weeps. Now, Tituba, I know that when we bind ourselves to hell, it is very hard to break with it. We are going to help you tear yourself free. Tituba, frightened by the coming process. Mr. Reverend, I do believe someone else is bewitching these children. Who? I don't know, sir, but the devil got him numerous witches. He does? Now, let's keep in mind. Blame was starting to be placed on Abigail. She shifts it to Tituba. Blame is now starting to be placed on Tituba. She's now shifting the blame on somebody else. Both of them also said, all right, you caught me, but I'm not the one you're after. Here's the person. There's other people that are doing this to us. There's other people that got us into this. And so they're pushing the ball down. They're admitting to a crime they didn't commit, but they're saying it wasn't me that did it, though. They bewitched me. They encouraged me to do it. It is a clue. Tituba, look into my eyes. Come look into me. She raises her eyes to his fearfully. You would be a good Christian woman, would you not, Tituba? I, sir, a good Christian woman. And you love these little children. Oh, yes, sir, I don't desire to hurt little children. You love God, Tituba. I love God with all my being. Now, in God's holy name, bless him, bless him. She's rocking on her knees, sobbing in terror. And to his glory, eternal glory, bless him, bless God. Open yourself, Tituba. Open yourself and let God's holy light shine on you. Oh, bless the Lord. When the devil comes to you, does he ever come with another person? She stares into his face. Perhaps another person in the village? Someone you know? Who came with him? Sarah Good? Did you ever see Sarah Good with him? Or Osborne? Was it a man or woman come with him? A man or woman? It was a woman. A woman. What woman? A woman, you said. What woman? It was black and dark. You could you could see him. You could see him or her. Well, they're always talking. They're always running around and carrying on. You mean out of Salem? Salem witches? I believe so. Yes, sir. Now Hell takes her hand. She is surprised. Tituba, you must have no fear to tell us who they are. Do you understand? We will protect you. The devil can never overcome a minister. You know that, do you not? Tituba kisses Reverend Hale's hand. Aye, sir. Oh, I do. You have confessed yourself to witchcraft, and that speaks of a wish to come to heaven's side. We will bless you, Tituba. Tituba deeply relieved. Oh, God bless you, Mr. Hale. Hale with rising exclamation. You are God's instrument, put in our hands to discover the devil's agent among us. You are selected, Tituba. You are chosen to help us cleanse our village. To speak utterly, Tituba, turn your back on him and face God. Face God, Tituba, and God will protect you. Tituba joining him. Oh, God, protect Tituba. Hale, kindly. Who came with the devil? 2, 3, 4, how many? Tituba pants, begins to rock back and forth again, staring ahead. Now, no. Why is she doing this? Why is she not answering, rocking back and forth, staring ahead? She's one, afraid, of course, and two, keep in mind, witchcraft is not real. Keep in mind that they are lying, and the only reason why both the first two lie or admitted to it is so they get out of the crime, and also they're being kind of leaned on fairly heavily. This is like you see this sometimes with cops where they will be like, "Are you sure you weren't there?" That's basically kind of what has happened to this poor woman, and so she knows if she names a name, they are going to be in the same situation, if not worse than her, and so she doesn't have a name. So she's trying to go as long as possible without saying a name because she doesn't have one. There was four. There was four. Harris pressing on her. Who? Their names. Tituba certainly pushing out. Oh, how many times he bid me to kill you, Mr. Paris? Kill me? Tituba in a fury. He says Mr. Paris must be killed. Mr. Paris, no goodly man. Mr. Paris, mean man, with no gentle man. He bid me to rise out of my bed and cut your throat. But I tell him, no, I don't hate that man. I don't want to kill that man. But he say, you work for me, Tituba, and I make you free. I give you pretty dress to wear and put you way high up in the air and gonna fly you back to Barbados. And I say, you lie, devil, you lie. And then he come to me one stormy night to me, and he say, look, I have white people belong to me. And look, there was Goody Good. Sarah Good. So once again, I apologize for kind of my accent than I have when I'm doing Tituba. This was written colloquially, so they are including certain dialect to match her dialect that she has of a ACE dialect, African Caribbean English dialect that she has kind of going on. The reason why I sound out like that is because of that. All right, Tituba, rocking and weeping. I saw Goody Osborne. Keep in mind, earlier in the thing, Thomas Putman mentioned two names. The two names were Sarah Good and Goody Osmond. Two names. And which two names does Tituba finally say? Those two names, because she knows that's what they want. Or at least that's what some of the white people want. Mrs. Putman, I knew it. Goody Osborne were a midwife to me 3 times, and I begged you, Thomas, didn't I? I begged him not to call Goody Osborne because I feared her. My babies have always shriveled in her hands. Take courage. You must give us all their names. How can you bear to see this child suffer? Look at her, Tituba. He's indicating Betty on the bed. Look at her, God-given innocence. Her soul is so tender. We must protect her, Tituba. The devil is out and preying on her like a beast upon the flesh of a pure lamb. God will bless you for your help. Abigail rises, staring as though inspired, and cries out, I want to open myself. They turn to her, startled. She is enraptured, as though in a pearly light. I want the light of God. I want the sweet love of Jesus. I danced for the devil. I saw him. I wrote my name in his book. I go back to Jesus. I kiss his hand. I saw Sarah Good with the devil. I saw Goody Osborne with the devil. I saw Bridget Bishop with the devil. She is speaking. Betty is rising from the bed, a fever in her eyes, and picks up the chant. Betty staring too. I saw George Jacobs with the devil. And I saw Goody Howe with the devil. She speaks! He rushes to embrace Betty. She speaks! Glory to God! It is broken! They are free! Betty calling out hysterically with great relief. I saw Martha Bellows with the devil! I saw Goody Sibber with the devil! It's rising to a great glee. The marshal! I'll call the marshal! Paris is shouting a prayer of thanksgiving. I saw Alice Barrow with the devil! The curtain begins to fall. Hail as Putman goes out. Let the marshals bring the irons. I saw Goody Hawkins with the devil. I saw Goody Bibber with the devil. I saw Goody Booth with the devil. On their ecstatic cries, the curtain falls. And there we go. That is the end of Act 1 of the Crucible. So there we go. We're at the end of Act 1 of the Crucible. 30 annotations was the assignment, so that's what I need you to complete. So 30 annotations due by tonight at midnight. If you have them just written down, just take pictures of them, upload them to Classroom, submit them that way, and I'll get the grade in the grade book for you. So that's all I got for you today. Hopefully I'll see you on Tuesday. If not, then I'll be back in the digital realm talking to you about stuff. Spoiler alert: if we're not in school on Tuesday, your AMI day is probably going to be the prompt. That's going to probably be your AMI day. But yeah, that's all I got for you now. Hopefully we'll be back, and so we can do this as a class, and it's not just the Mr. Davidson one man show. All right, because I like building meaning together with y'all. I don't like funneling meaning straight into you. I like asking y'all the questions and y'all coming up with the ideas and y'all seeing crazy stuff. All right, but I miss all y'all, and I will see y'all hopefully on Tuesday. If you have any questions, email me, pdavidson@portugal.k12.mo.us, and I will see you later. Peace out. A-Town down.